Hi guys, this is John with Appalachian Homes, People, and Places, and I'm at the birthplace of KFC. You know what Kentucky Fried Chicken is. You've been eating it your whole life, and this is where it started in Corbin, Kentucky, back in the early 30s. Harlan Sanders had a gas station right across the street here, and he lived in the back, and when the Depression hit, he started selling food at the table there where they ate to tourists that was coming through, and from there, it grew into the greatest food franchises ever, and they have a museum, and it's worth the stop. If you're coming down Interstate 75, you need to just get off the exit. It's about 2 or 3 miles off the interstate, and come check it out. We've done been inside. It's amazing. Come on in. Let me show you what's in here. Oh, that's cool. I like that. I like the Kentucky Fried Chicken shirt. Ain't where it all began. You gotta have that one. Oh, check out the other stuff you can get. Recipe book, postcard. I gotta have the postcard. What's this down here? Is this an apron? Coffee cup? Okay. Okay, we gotta buy some of that. Let's go look.
And I cleared about an acre, I guess, that month, but there were a lot of squirrels, red birds, butterflies, more things to attract the fellow's attention than they were. And evidently, I didn't clear as much ground as he thought a man ought to. Boy ought to clear even. So at the end of that first month, he fired me and sent me home. Said he wouldn't feed me for me. So I went home, took my $2 to my mother, and when I gave her the $2 that I had gotten for the month's work and told her that Mr. Norris had fired me, she gave me a little lecture that I shall never forget. She said, "What on earth are you ever going to amount to? You're my oldest son, the oldest of the 3 children. You've got no father. I got nobody to help me depend on but you. And to think that you're so no count that you couldn't hold a job at $2 a month." Well, by the time she got through tongue lashing me, I felt just about as low as anybody could have ever felt. And I made a resolve then that I would never let hours or work or anything else ever interfere with me doing the best job as possible. And if I ever got another job, I was sure going to prove to her that I was worthy of it.
There is a table that you would have found in Colonel Sanders' original restaurant that he built that had 6 tables when he expanded from his little gas station. Here is a model display of the motel that he built, the original Sanders Cafe there to the left of it, and then he also either built or bought another gas station across the street, and that's how he ended up coming to Corbin, was to go into the gas station or service station business in 1930. He was offered a location there for free rent to sell gas for Shell originally, and it grew into a restaurant, it grew into a motel here. This is one of the rooms that you would have found in the motel. Would have had a telephone. I believe from what I read, each room had its own telephone in the room. It had a desk there, a dresser. You can see as you go through the museum, it's got a lot of different things that you can look at. You can spend many hours reading and looking at the different exhibits that they have set up. I found the bathroom here to be very neat. It's very clean, and Harlan Sanders, one of the things that he talked about and emphasized on was white, using white and keeping things clean so you could see it. And this was neat and clean bathroom. So in 1940, this would have been a pretty nice motel coming down Highway 25W. You could stop and get a motel, get some gas, and buy some fried chicken. And little did they know, the guy that was cooking for them back then was going to become world famous. Here are some of the kitchen facility items that you would have found there in the kitchen back in the 40s and 50s when Harlan ran the restaurant there. Some of the dishwashing stuff that they used. You can see some of the borax there. If you ever use borax, make sure to leave a comment. It says 20 Mule Team borax. It was used for a lot of different things. You can wash your dishes with it and wash your clothes with it, and you also can kill ants with it. There you see a refrigerator door that was on the original refrigerator that was in the restaurant that he used. And I'm not for sure how much of this equipment was original to the original restaurant, but I believe some of it was originally used there by Harlan Sanders. And he did sell out in 1952 to go on the road to sell franchises. And I'm not really for sure, I didn't find the information who bought this location in 1952 and who took it over. So I have some questions I'd like to ask, but they don't actually have somebody there on staff that works the museum. It's kind of neat. You can go in and eat there. It's one of the few places you'll ever go into a museum and be able to eat any place in there just about you want. And right here, the pressure cooker is what really revolutionized Harlan Sanders' cooking, because it took so long to pan fry the chicken that he couldn't keep up. And when the pressure cooker came out, he modified it to make it into using it to fry chicken. And here's his original recipe, spices, the 11 herbs and spices, and that's how you would have saw it packaged in the 60s. And that's what he did in 1952. He went out and started selling these recipes, this secret recipe to the franchisees. And that's how he felt like how he was going to make his money. Instead of just running the restaurants himself, he decided he would sell his secret recipe there, and that's what he did. Here are some of the museum displays of some of the dishes that you would have found back in the early 40s and 50s. You would have found real glassware in there in the Sanders Cafe. We find that here's where he went into the motel business, and he expanded into he might have had, I think he had bought a motel in Asheville, Kentucky also, or Asheville, North Carolina. He bought a motel, I believe, that burnt at some point. So he had some other business adventures, and there's so much history here that to put it in this little video, I'm going to leave so much out. But, the main thing was that he was born in 1890, and in 1895, his father passed away, and by age 7, he was having to learn to cook for his siblings, and his mom went to work and left him there taking care of the kids. And from there, it turned into what we know as KFC today. Here are some of the different buckets that they used over the years. They didn't have a date on these that I could find, and I probably was overlooking something, but I always love to know the dates of when something was used. And, I'm not for sure what the very first bucket looked like, but apparently they used different buckets at different times over the years. And I'm sure there's people that have collections, just like you see right here, of KFC buckets and memorabilia and toys. This is the second largest food franchise in the world, and with over 22,000 locations and tens of thousands of employees. This company grew from this little boy that was 7 years old and started cooking and tried to help, with the family and taking care of things with his siblings. He only went to school to the 7th grade. He only had a 7th grade education. And one of the things I learned there that was interesting, that Colonel Sanders always continued to learn. Always into his 70s and 80s, he was continually going to motivational speaking type events and Zig Ziglar events and learning how to be more motivated and to learn. He never quit learning. And it took him, by the time most people retired, Colonel Sanders was just getting started. He didn't give up. He kept working. He had a great work ethic. You know, he insisted on cleanliness and quality, and he had this, you know, recipe that who knows when he first came up with it. Maybe when he was 7 or 8 years old, he started using these 11 herbs and spices. And nobody really knows what they are. All he'll tell you is there's salt and pepper in there, but the others we don't know. That recipe is locked in a vault probably in Louisville, Kentucky at their main headquarters. Now here was something that was neat. It was a little statue of him sitting there, and so I had to get my picture taken with the statue. And you know, the Colonel's made me the man I am. I've eaten a lot of chicken over the years, and the first Kentucky Fried Chicken I remember came to La Follette, Jacksboro area in East Tennessee in my county here in Campbell County back in the early 70s, and it was one of the very first chain restaurants to come here, and I've been eating there ever since I was a kid.
Flour, it's about 20% hard wheat, and you just don't get the adherence to the chicken. And if the breading is the vehicle for carrying the seasoning to the chicken, you want to be sure that you have a nice covering of breading on it.
For here to go.
Do you all have the chicken livers here?
Yeah.
Oh, we can't find them there. One will follow. How they come? How do you sell them?
You can get a small, a large, a combo, or a penny.
A small or a large? Let's get a large, and let's get that number 9. Okay.
For here to go.
For here, and an extra drink. Here.
Okay, you want a large liver and what else?
That number 6. I'm sorry, that 3 pieces.
White meat or dark meat?
White.
You just come here.
We'll do that.
There you go, we're ready. Oh no, I'm not hurrying.
No hurry.
No.
All right, so we've been looking around the museum and we have found a lot of interesting things. So we took a break to eat. We had to eat here. Believe it or not, I've already ate a KFC in my hometown La Follette today earlier, but they don't have chicken livers there. I guess some of them's franchise owned. I'm not for sure. And look here what we found. Chicken livers at this one. And they have these new plates that I like, that they put their stuff in instead of the boxes. And I always recommend for a good value meal, I buy the number 15. It's a chicken breast and a side and a drink and a cookie. I think it's an excellent value if you're eating out. We're gonna eat here. Yeah, this ain't all mine. Jody's helping me eat, but I'm glad to get these chicken livers. We're gonna take some home, but we're gonna eat and then look around a little bit more.
Something like Shirley. This is bread over at store 45. The Colonel is here. He says Shirley doesn't have anything for me to do today, and I'll come to work. He would not have. All he wanted to do was get there and get the job done and make things better for his company. If I would have said, I don't know what you're going to do when you get there, just wing it, he would have tried to do that because of his work ethic. He had a tremendous stamina and work ethic for the job ahead and the job that was to be done. When the Colonel first began to get some celebrity status, or at least be recognized for his business. He was asked to be on an early television panel show of business people. And so he had been traveling, and back then it was very common for Southern men to all have a white suit for summer, usually white linen. And he didn't have much money, he didn't have a lot of clothes, and he had left Corbin in this white suit, not expecting that he would be later invited to be on this panel show. He went to this business meeting trying to talk about his product to other business leaders and possible franchisees. And so when they asked him to go on the panel show, all he had was this white suit that he had been wearing for several days. And he of course accepted and went up on stage and participated in the panel discussion. When he came off, someone approached him and said, "You have no idea how you stood out up there with all those men in dark suits." And he said, you know, it was a light bulb moment. He thought, well, if this shows up that way, I will wear a white suit from now on. Often the Colonel received events that would say black tie on the invitation. And I would call just to be sure and say, is this correct? You want the Colonel to wear black tie? You know, he often wears a white suit, but he's prepared. And invariably they would say, oh no, please have him wear the white suit. We want him to come in the white suit.
I'm going to buy a couple of things. There is on display, which you got on souvenirs.
Okay. What size do you need that? All right. What else for you?
And the postcards, I'd like to get 6 postcards.
Okay.
The magnets, I'd like to get 2 of the magnets. And the buttons, I'm going to put the buttons.
Okay.
The coffee cup.
Is that it?
Oh, good.
It's going to be $35.98. Give me just a second.
All right, thank you. All right, we're waiting to get some of the souvenirs I just bought. I bought a button, magnets, postcards, a coffee cup, and a t-shirt.
There's 2 double doors on that end, 2 double doors on this end. And one time the management decided to make a pathway from those double doors all the way to the other double doors. And one of my friends rode his dirt bike, rode a wheelie all the way through there. So they put it back the way it was so he couldn't do that anymore. That was the last, yeah.
And you lived there your whole life?
I have, yeah.
When I was a kid?